Students, today in this part, we will discuss regarding law of supply. What is the law of supply? How it is defined? What are the assumptions of the law of supply? How it can be explained with the help of a supply schedule and supply curve? Then what are the exceptions or limitations of the law? So first, what is law of supply? Law of supply states the functional relationship in between price and quantity supplied of a commodity. It states the functional relationship in between price and quantity supplied of a commodity. Quantity supplied of a commodity is a function of its price. So, price is the independent variable, whereas quantity supplied is the dependent variable. We can technically symbolize it as Sx is a function of Px, or we can say supply of x is a function of price of x. So, when price of the commodity increases, supply of the commodity increases, and vice versa. Price and quantity supplied are directly related. No doubt, supply of the commodity depends on its price, but there is a direct relationship, there is a positive relationship in between price and quantity supplied. In contrast to the law of demand, where there is a negative relationship between price and quantity demanded. In the law of demand, we have already studied that there is a negative relationship between price and quantity demanded. When price increases, quantity demanded falls, and vice versa. But in case of law of supply, there is a direct relationship. There is a positive relationship in between price and quantity supplied. When price of a commodity rises, its supply rises. When price falls, its supply also falls. Law of supply can be defined as, now we'll come to the definition of law of supply. How it is defined? It is defined as other things remaining constant. Quantity supplied of a commodity increases with an increase in price and decreases with a fall in price. Other things remaining constant. Quantity supplied of a commodity increases with an increase in price and decreases with a fall in price. So the law states the positive relationship in between price and supply of a commodity only when other things influencing supply remain constant. There are many things, there are many factors which determine or influence supply, excluding the price of the commodity itself. Those factors, excluding the price of the commodity, are known as other things. When they remain constant, they remain fixed, they remain unchanged, a direct relationship, a positive relationship in between price and quantity supplied establishes. You see, in the definition, other things remaining constant. What are the other things? Let us explain. Other things means they include price of other related goods, price of factors of production, technology of production, goals of producers, number of farms, government policy, natural factors, etc. These things remaining constant, only a direct relationship or positive relationship in between price and quantity supplied occurs. Right. Now we will go to explain the law, explanation regarding explanation of the law. See, the law of supply can be explained. The law of supply can be explained with the help of a supply schedule and a supply curve. So we can explain the law with the help of a schedule and a curve. Then what is supply schedule? What is supply schedule? Supply schedule is just a tabular representation of quantities of a commodity offered for sale at different possible prices in a given time period. In a given time period, when at different prices, different quantities of commodities are supplied, no doubt. At different prices, different quantities of a commodity are supplied, and when we list these supply and price relationship in a table, we show this relationship between price and quantity supplied through a tabular presentation. It is known as supply schedule. So, supply schedule is just a tabular presentation of quantities of a commodity offered for sale at different possible prices. Now, we can take an imaginary supply schedule to show the supply of commodity X by a firm at different prices. Now we'll come to supply schedule and we will explain the law with the help of first supply schedule and then supply curve. Now we'll draw a supply schedule. You see, in the supply here it is the supply schedule where there are two columns which is represented in a tabular form. In the first column we have written price per unit of commodity X in rupees, and in the second column it is quantity supplied of X in units. And you see here the price of commodity X goes on increasing, and thereby the quantity supplied of X also increases. When the price of the commodity X per unit was rupees 10 in the market, the quantity supplied was 100 units. When the price increased to 20 rupees per unit, quantity supplied increased to 200 units. When it increased to 30 rupees, 40 rupees and 50 rupees respectively, the quantity supplied also increases to 300 units, 400 units and 500 units. Right? You see, it is explained here. In the supply schedule, we find that with an increase in the price of X, its quantity supplied also increases. With an increase in the price of commodity X, quantity supplied also increases. When price per unit of X was rupees 10, only 100 units were supplied. With a rise in price to rupees 20, 30, 40 and rupees 50 respectively, quantity supplied also increased to 200 units, 300 units, 400 units and 500 units. Right? So, this is how we explain the supply schedule. Now we will come to the supply curve. What is a supply curve? A supply curve is a graphical presentation of supply schedule. It is a graphical presentation of supply schedule. In other words, a supply curve is a graphical representation of quantities supplied at different price levels. Right? On the basis of the supply schedule we have given, following supply curve is drawn. Now we will draw a supply curve on the basis of the supply schedule we have taken above. You see? You see, in this diagram, OX axis, there is OX axis and OY axis. In OX horizontal axis, we have taken the quantity supplied in units, and in OY vertical axis, we have taken the price of the commodity in rupees. Right? And when the price of the commodity was 10 rupees per unit, 100 units were supplied. This is shown in the diagram point A. By point A, When the price increased to rupees 20 per unit, the quantity supplied also increased to 200 units. It is shown by point B. When the price increased to rupees 30 per unit of the commodity, quantity supplied increased to 300 units. It is indicated by point C in the diagram. And with an increase in the price to rupees 40 and rupees 50 respectively, quantity supplied also increased to 400 units and 500 units, and they are indicated by point D and point E in the diagram. By joining these points A, B, C, D and E through straight line respectively, we get the S dash supply curve. You see here we have also explained. In the diagram, OX axis represents quantity supplied and OY axis represents price. With an increase in the price of X from rupees 10 to rupees 20, rupees 30, rupees 40 and rupees 50 per unit, its supply increased from 100 units to 200 units, 300 units, 400 units and 500 units respectively, which are shown by the points A, B, C, D and E in the diagram. By joining these respective points, we get the supply curve S dash. Mark it. Mark in the diagram S dash is given. The S dash is the supply curve. How we get this S dash? By joining just the points A, B, C, D, E. And the slope of S dash shows a positive relationship between price and supply. It shows a positive relationship between price and quantity supplied. It is an upward sloping curve from left to right, and the supply curve rises rightward when price rises, and it slopes leftward when price falls. When it comes leftward, it becomes downward sloping from right to left. It shows a fall in price, and when it slopes upward from left to right, it shows a rise in price. And with a rise in price, supply increases. With a fall in price, supply decreases. So from the above demand schedule and demand curve, we came to the conclusion that there is a positive relationship between price and quantity supplied. Right. Now we will come to the exceptions of the law. This is how we have explained the law with the help of supply schedule and supply curve, supply schedule and supply curve. Now we will come to the exceptions of the law of supply. What are the exceptions to the law of supply? The law of supply does not hold good in certain cases. They are: number one, agricultural products whose supply is governed by nature. The law of supply does not hold good in case of agricultural products whose supply is governed by nature. You see, due to occurrence of natural calamities like cyclone, flood, etc., agricultural production decreases. In this situation, even at a very high price, the producer or seller is not able to supply more. Right? So, in this case, the law of supply does not hold good. Then, number two, perishable goods. In case of perishable goods like milk, vegetable, fish, egg, etc., the law of supply does not hold good. The law of supply does not apply. The producer is bound to supply the total stock of the good with him even at a very low price. Otherwise, they will be destroyed. Right. Then number three, rare goods. The law of supply does not operate in case of rare goods like painting of big artists, old stamps, etc. Whatever may be their prices, more of them cannot be supplied. Right. Then another exception is clearance sale. When the seller wants to clear the existing stock of goods with him, he supplies all the goods with him even at a very low price, because he wants to stop his business. right? So in case of clearance sale also, this law does not hold good. Then number 5 is future expectation of price, right? What is this? Or we can say expectation of a further change in price. You see, if seller expect further fall in price of the good with him in future, he would be ready to sell more even at a low price. Even at a low price, the seller or producer is ready to supply more of the goods if they expect a further fall in the price of the good. On the other hand, if the sellers or producers expect a further rise in price in future, they will supply less of the commodity even at a high price. Right? So, in this case, the law of supply does not operate. Then, number 6, fear of being out of fashion. What is this? If producers think that their goods are going to be out of fashion, or we can say they are going to be outdated, they are going to be outdated in the near future, they will supply more of their goods even at a lower price. Because in future, their goods will not be demanded. Their goods will not be purchased by the consumers. So, with a fear of being out of fashion, they sell more of goods, or they supply more of goods even at a lower price. Then the last one is a change in non-price determinants. It is the last but not the least important, not of least important. You see, change in non-price determinants. The law of supply itself says that other things remaining constant, more is supplied at a higher price and less is supplied at a lower price. Other things means excluding price or non-price determinants. There are many factors excluding the price of the commodity itself which affect or influence or determine the supply of a commodity. What are they? We can say price of relative goods, price of factors of production, technology of production, goals of producers, number of farms, government policies, natural factors, etc. These are called non-price determinants. If there occurs a change in these determinants, any of these determinants, then the law will not apply. The law will not operate. For example, let us take the price of factors of production. When the price of factors of production increases, the cost of production will also increase. Price of the good remaining constant, when the cost of production increases, whether the producers supply more? No, they will supply less. Right? So, these things must not change. If there is a change in these determinants, non-price determinants, then the law of supply will not apply. So, it is all about the law of supply. What is the law of supply, how it is defined, how it can be explained with the help of what are the assumptions, then how it can be explained with the help of supply schedule and supply core, then what are the exceptions. This is all about the law of supply. But students, one thing more we must know, that is why the law of supply applies. Why more is supplied at a higher price and less is supplied at a lower price. I can say you just two things regarding this, why more is supplied at a higher price and less is supplied at a lower price. Just remember, there are only two. Number one, a rise in price of a commodity causes rise in profit, and fall in price of a commodity causes a fall in profit. So when the profit level rises, the producers want to supply more of the commodity because the price rises. Due to rise in price, their profit rises. So they will supply more of the commodity to get more profit. But when their price falls, the price of the commodity falls, they will supply less of the commodity because they will get less profit. Their profit level falls. So For this, the producer supply more at a higher price and less at a lower price. Number one. And number two is a rise in price causing higher profit. Rise in price causing higher profit, no doubt. When price rises, profit level rises. So this attracts the new farms to enter into the market, which adds to the supply of a commodity. Thereby, supply of the commodity increases because new farms enter into the market with an objective of getting more profit due to rise in price. Similarly, whereas a fall in price compels, but a fall in price compels the inefficient farms to withdraw from the market and stop producing that commodity. Thereby, the level of supply falls, total supply falls. So, these are the two reasons for which more is supplied at a higher price and less is supplied at a lower price. So, this is all about law of supply. Again, we will meet in our next class. Till then, have a goodbye, good day, have a goodbye. Thank you all.